mai ia loa lei ke la te ia mo te tulu maui tama afi poho poho e loa iau te holonga mo tulu whalata nuko whiki ha kua whai fou e ha te tulu lilifu e ke kafu ko Colin ne tukuangia he mga hoia ko e lilifu ako ka aua ni he whanongonongo mai te ki ha te tulu he ka ina se kua whakahako mai e ia e alelo hako ko hape lua ki he mga hawhakamua si kumne ia whakamole whakalohi atu ko hape lua e alelo hainga si pihea inga ko lilifu ako e lilifu e ke kafu ha te tulu si tula he whakaui ki he awhiawhi ko whanongonongo mai am tulu si kumne ia to whakaonga ua he lilifu e ke kafu ha te tulu e wangahau whakapelitania mo e wangahau Niue. Kai huhu iau, e tau huhu whakapelitania ha ko e tau huhu ko whita he whakatoka mai he hātou tūro taki. Sikum neia, Colin Tukuitonga is the Associate Dean Pacific at Auckland University. Dr. Colin has spent the past 7 years at the SPC in New Caledonia. Before that, he was headed New Zealand Ministry of Pacific Island Affairs. Now it's Ministry of Pacific People, and also worked with the World Health Organization. He is a staunch advocate of Niue and Wangahau Niue. So, hai e tama introduction ha tau tōru ka te ia moe ha tau tōru alilifu e ke kafo. The Northern Region Health Coordination Center is providing up-to-date information on the COVID-19 vaccination rollout in Auckland for the Niuean community. Tonight, joining me on the show is Dr. Colin Tukuitonga to talk more about the COVID-19 vaccine. Si monu tangaloa, kia whiawhi. Colin, whakalofala hi atu kia koe kia whiawhi.
Maki te ili atu mainga mai hawa hoa ngā hua. Whakalofala hi atu whukita makainanga he motu ne whanongonongo mai ke he leo taongo kia whiawhi. Whakalofa lai hi atu.
Ko tō tōru mohai ne uhua ki hako maue e ke kafo Wangahau Niue ha tō tōru. Colin, where are the things currently at with the COVID-19 vaccination rollout in Auckland, and who is eligible right now?
Teki whawelahi Wangahau ua ni tunga ne pulanga mai koe. Mena linga mitaki ke liu whakamanatu ke hitau matakainanga na whanongonongo hako mena wha e matakau ne whakatoka mai he whakatuwhono. Ko lau tūru whakamua ko tō tangata ninga hua he mare wakarere, mai halo tūru tō mga whaoa tō tangata ngā hua he quarantine facility. Ko osi da, se osi da lau tūru ia he mua e tō huki. Si ko lau tūru ne matakau ke waki ko tō tangata ngā hua malolo sino he ne leweka tō tūru ka he whai ngā ngāo. Kua mua whukitei ha lau tūru, se osi whukitei ha lau tūru he huki. Ko matakau ke tūru aki ko tō tangata mutua tō sino, ono fulmarime tō tau ki lunga, ka tunga ni ko longona whuki tō tūru, ka limu ngō furu e tau hao si whana kai ke kafo Pasifika, linga maua whuki a kai, ko lau tūru ni whai ngā ngāo loa, tunga e suka mo e ngā ngāo a sevili, ngā ngāo ini, ngā ngāo whatawhata tō whangamana behena, ne whai ngā ngāo maua tuai a kai ka maua kai he COVID-19 si lahi ke rea he ngā ngāo. Si ko lau lahi mo ia he tō tangata ne toi he matakau nu mela wha. Koe ka matala e kau nu mela wha ke huk he mahina uni iulai. Dinga longona whuki te ka hai tau tōru kua muri whakatose e tau se au se anga ngā hua he motu si tokolonga tō tangata ne pehe koe hane whakatuari ko ai pihia. Muri whakatose si uka ka hake pehe e kua hoko tātou tōru ke whawa e po ke whawa ko. Kai hakoa hātaki ke tau tōru ni whanongonongo mai, ka ai māme koe si huhu ke hawa e ke kafo, mo tau tōru whuki Pasifika, ne behe whia manako ke huki, whano ke he huki angana e South Sea se o Tala, o ke kolo tōru i West, whano ke he Westgate ne tau se he whono. Haka behe whai ngangao sinu tuai kai ka ha tu mai ka kai mu e huki. Wamare mai ka Britania atu. Just a reminder, the government had allocated us all into 4 groups. The first group were MIQ facility, border workers and their families, and they're pretty well done, I'm told. The second group are frontline health workers, nurses and doctors who take care of us, and they're also almost all done, is my understanding. The third group is where most of our people are, people with a chronic illness like diabetes or asthma, or chest problems. So if you have an underlying condition, you are eligible to get your vaccine now. So if you try and find out, you should be able to get yours. And then everyone else from about June, July, I'm told that we are slightly behind schedule. The best advice I can give you is, because things are a bit fluid at the moment, if you're not sure, you should go, if you're out south, go to the Otara South Seas Center. And even if you don't, in a clean category like one of the ones I mentioned, I'm sure they'll be happy to give you the vaccine. And the same for the people out west. The Fono has just set up a clinic at Westgate this past week, I'm told. So the best advice is to contact your doctor and ascertain when you're likely to get your vaccine. There is a facility on the Ministry of Health website that you can work out roughly when you'll get your vaccine. There's a tool there if you are able to get onto the Ministry of Health website and work that out for yourself. Hanai do hatagianga ke lata mo huhuia ma mainga.
Whakawelahi, koe huhu ke uaki. Is that the same for the rest of the country?
Mitake huhu hao. Haka tau puranga mai ka hae tau takitake tau tolu e motu. Pamena lata ke tause, tahane tause whakapapahi ange lata mo e motu katoa. Ka tunga nei loa tau tolu ko e motu, ke longa tau manatu e motu tau tolu. Tunga nei longana, whaitangata tolu nei longana whakalata ko Northland DHB. Pese ne tuku mai whakatu whono e whae matakau nā tunga nei whamama teo. Manako ne whanai whangarei. Ke tause mena kehi nalo tolu, mena tuku ai mai ke moia ke huki osu te whahe toko longa tau tangata ne o. Koe tala sinai, ko mina lata tau tolu ke tahane tau se anga ke lata mai motu katoa. Ka hana ne tau ke kehe tau manatu he tau tangata ni ngahua he whahe malolo sino. So briefly in response to your question, it's an excellent one. The theory is that government wants us all to follow the rollout plan and schedule. But you will have heard it's not quite that way. Different people have different expectations. For example, in Northland, the Northland DHB decided to vaccinate all of those 50 and up. But they then struggled to meet the demands because too many people turned up to get their vaccine. So it's a little messy around the edges, but pretty much it's the same, ought to be the same around the country.
Whakawela he ma lilifu na tahatua ni ka na tahatua ni ka ne whawhia whaike. Kai mohaya, what is the vaccine being used in New Zealand and how does it work from le moli?
Tahane na longa hai do huki whangangata ne longa do tolu koe longa ne tausi he tau puloti he lau langa toa. Kai tahana ha tau tolu ne whakaonga koe Pfizer vaccine, koe Pfizer ne whakaonga he motu katoa. E tunga hea whalu motu ne whakaonga tunga Amerika, tolu po ke whāne whakaonga. Koe mena mitake tahani ka haa koe na longando tolu e taha huki ne whakahingoa koe AstraZeneca. Whaitangata ne popole he dau toto tuli, blood clots ne maua he yellow tolu ne huki. Mena whakamua ke whamama, na kaiwhai kerea behena ne maua mai he Pfizer. Koe dau blood clots maua mai ni he AstraZeneca, moe Johnson & Johnson. Na kai whakaonga e dau huki nā he motu nei ha dau tolu. Koe Pfizer ni ha dau tolu. Si koe Pfizer ia ni ne koe whakamori fo ke ka peneta i Niue ke whakaonga he motu mori ha dau tolu. Koe, koe mene ke mahuinga ke maama. Na kai koe huki whakangata tunga ne whamahani, tunga huki mui sere. Ne hahai ai ka hai tama moko kua whakalole lole hifo he dau e ke kafu si huki ai ka kai moia ke loi le sino hao ke tause taha pui anga. Nā kai whai moko ne whakaonga he huki nei. Ko mena tālanga pa waki ni he tau puloti he lalolangi I loto he whare ngahua halau tūru. So we, in New Zealand, obviously there are more than one vaccine options used around the world. In the US, they use at least 3, maybe 4. For us, we've decided to use the one vaccine called the Pfizer vaccine, used up and down the country. It's the only one we're using, including our relatives in Niue and the Cooks, by the way. So I think it's a good thing. It's the best of the lot, I think. The Pfizer vaccine is the best. It's important to point out that the concerns that people might have had about blood clots does not occur with the Pfizer vaccine. Blood clots have only been reported, very rare, by the way, in those who's received the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines, not the Pfizer. And it's only in those over the age of 50. So people shouldn't be concerned about blood clots. What is it? The vaccine is different because in the old days, we used to weaken, if you like, or tone down the germ that causes the disease and use that to make the vaccine, like measles, for example, polio. This one, there's no virus at all in the vaccine. It's all manufactured by the manufacturer in the lab. So there's no chance whatsoever that you will get COVID-19 from the vaccine. So I would encourage us all to get vaccinated when your time comes.
The next question, okay, matapatu hea te kane whai hu tu mo Colin, is it safe? But is it safe?
It's absolutely safe. I think some of you will have heard me say I've been in medicine 40 years. Everything in medicine, the huki, the sangavai, the surgery, the menausi has a risk and a benefit. This one, the risks are minimal. So it's a really safe and effective vaccine. I've had my shot. I think you know that. So I've kind of followed my own advice and got the two injections. It's safe. As I say, if I give you the example of typhoid, typhoid is only effective in about 60% of people who receive it. In other words, 60 out of 100 people who get the typhoid vaccine are protected. The rest, the 40, do not. And the second part to that is it's only effective for 6 months. Whereas the COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, is effective in 95% of the people who receive it. And at the moment, it looks like it can be sustained for at least 2 to 3 years. So you're protected for 2 to 3 years. You don't need another shot for 2 to 3 years. That's not clear yet. So it's a safe and effective vaccine. Koe tālage he huki nei ma dawa matua, na kai lata do tulu ke popore, ha koe huki whangata nei, o toko longa de, ko molea de tulu e pirion na tangata ne huki he laloloing katoa. Si nā kai whai masa ne moua mai ai, koe mamahi ne lima ne huki, mamahi uru to mana iki bihe nā kai ai whai ngā ngāo kalea ne tuku mai ai.
Hai whakauilahi ma Colin amana ki au kua whanongonongo mai whakamtea ki amtulu ne whanongonongo ki hana tō whakamāmaanga. The next question is, why is it important to get vaccinated? Whakamale moari.
At the moment, we have no way of treating the virus. If you have COVID-19, it's really your body's defenses against the virus. And we know some people have died, many people have died around the world. There's no treatment, there's no drugs, there's no none whatsoever. So you either recover or you do not recover. And so the vaccine is really designed to prevent you from getting the disease. And that the Pfizer vaccine we just talked about does do that. It protects you in 95% of cases. It also reduces the likelihood that if you get the disease, it's less severe. And if you are unfortunate to be very sick, you are less likely to die from it. And some people say that the vaccine also prevents transmission from yourself to your members of your family. Si koe whamama ma tumu e langa he hukine ne pui nga ngau. Ha ko mena ka maua ka he ngau COVID-19 to longa tu ngata ni ke ala he maua he ngau mo folu mo ne ko maha ka huki kai si pui kai ai maua he ngau o ka behe ko maua ka he ngau ia ai ke ala he kai tunga e whawane toi. Si ko mena nane amana ki lahi mautulu e do ngata malo sinu ke e maua e do tulusi e hukine.
Hai ama te matakenanga. And when will the rest of us get vaccinated, Whakamali Moali?
Yeah, that was in relation to your first question. The schedule was that everyone else would start getting vaccinated from about June, July. In other words, the second half of this year. It's to do with the supply of the vaccine from Europe. That's why the government has prioritized people. So for the general population, and that is most of us, most of you, expect that to start happening from about June, July. Unless, as I say, the conditions that I pointed out earlier, if you have diabetes or you have asthma or you have some underlying condition, you should check with your doctor because you should be able to get vaccinated now.
Koe huhu whakahiku ma Colin si koe wha mahuinga whoki huhu nei hap tolonga ngai e tu tangata ne nā kai la mā malahi ia whoki. What if I am unsure about anything?
Yeah, te glai huhu ia. Mena whakamua ua whanongonongo ke he tau tangata tala mana noa, tala paha noa, tala piko piko, tala atu ka hukia kai si boua he taha microchip. Segi ua whanongonongo ke he tau tala kerea na. Mena whakamua, huhu ke he ke kafu hau, o ke huhu ke he nosi nenga hua. Koe hawhi tunu. O ko lo tolu nane maame do tau so seanga ke whamama atu kia koe. Men ke ua aki, ko na hai e health line ma Reverend Mole. E numela health line na loko muia na te mai au. Ka late gili ke whamanatu ke he tau tangata whanongonong mai he paholanga hau. A health line. I will. So the first thing really is, if you're not sure, ask your doctor. Don't listen to. By all means, don't ask Dr. Google. Dr. Google will tell you the truth and lies as well. Don't listen to conspiracy theories. It'll get you nowhere. It'll just get you confused. My best advice to you is to talk to your doctor, your family doctor, or the nurse at your practice that your family go to. And secondly, as I've suggested to Reverend Mokole, there is a health line we have in our country, a free line that you can call and ask them all your questions. We should be able to put up that number again for you sometime during the show this evening. So don't listen to conspiracy theories. Don't read material on the internet that you don't that has no authority. Just listen to your doctor or your nurse. Check the Ministry of Health website or the COVID-19 government website. Listen only to information from official sources.
Hai mata kai nanga koe numela telefoni ne tala lilifu ke kafa tolu kai koe Healthline koe nā kai walu siau tolu 5 5 5 tolu. Nā kai walu siau tolu 5 5 5 tolu. Hai ama lilifu ke kafu kwa wele mahaki ki hao ta mga whai manatu whakahiku na kai a kai ke lata ia moi awhiawhi.
Tei whawelahi koe numala nā ne whaziaki mai koe mo ia. Na whai tangata mga hau motu ne hahai ai ka ai mawhane loto hao ke mga hau whakapeta nes te langi whamanaka wai ke mga hau ke taha nosi o ke ta tangata mga hau Niue ke huhu te huhu hao ka bila koe Healthline nā ne whamama to Reverend Mokole. The last thing I want to say is that there are Niuean speakers on Healthline. If you're not confident, ask them in English, ask them and say, I want to speak to someone in my language. My final message, Inga, is to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. You'll protect yourself, you'll protect your family, you'll protect us all, and you'll protect our country. It's a safe vaccine. More than 3 billion doses have been used around the world. There's been only minor side effects like a sore arm and a headache. A few people have had an anaphylaxis, a reaction to it, but it's very rare. Otherwise, it's a very safe vaccine. So when your turn comes and you're offered it, I'd encourage you to accept it. Hanani do manatu whakaku matainanga ke lata mo ia whiawhika hoko me ngaho ke huki kai si mawhana atu neu ke maua mtali mori e hukina ke puipui ke sino hau puipui mga whawa pihene e motu katoa a tautu. Ko wela he ngaho ne tuku mai ke whai whakatu talaanga taua ma inga whakawelahi manaki mawhala tanga hua hamua he whiawhi o e tulo.
Whakawelahi, mahingoa he tekitaki whaamba wiliamu mo e PMN Niue, whakawelahi ki hao tam ngaho ko fuaki mai ke la teia mo te whakaholoanga he hao tautula leo taongo. Kia manune e awhiawhi, manune po.
Tulo.
Koe. Haia, matamakai nanga hana e